everyone and welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for tuning in again. Today is going to be a video that has been requested for a little while now, but I've kind of been not putting off filming it, but just not really knowing where to start on the topic because it is such a big one. So I'm going to try and tackle it today without too much waffle. I did prepare some questions, but I've no idea where they are. For some reason, everything in this house seems to grow legs and run off. So I'm just going to wing it and try not to waffle. So I guess the reason that a lot of people have requested this video is that I had a rather, not unusual, but a rather kind of turbulent university experience, and while there are definitely good things that I take from it, it wasn't the best time of my life, if I'm completely honest. And I think often when we leave school, when we kind of turn 18 and or we finish our A-levels, university seems like the inevitable next step rather than something that, you know, is for everyone. So I just kind of wanted to provide an alternative opinion on that, tell you a little bit about my experience, the good, the bad, maybe just providing a little bit of information if you're thinking of going to university yourself, or maybe you had a similar experience to me and you want to let me know so I don't feel like I was the only one that didn't enjoy it as much as everyone kind of makes out for it to be. So I'm not really sure where to start other than at the beginning, and I guess when we had to apply for university, I think it's like your last year of A-levels as far as I can remember, it's quite a while back now. You know, everyone is doing it and lots of your teachers encourage you to apply to university, and as I mentioned, it is the kind of inevitable next step that no one really questions, and in today's society it's kind of part and parcel of growing up that you will inevitably move on from A-levels or BTEC or whatever you're studying to go on to do a degree. And in many ways it is a really, really good thing if you don't know what you want to do and maybe you need a bit more time to think about it, or you want to explore certain subjects that you enjoy, and I think for that reason it is really, really great. I think for lots of people it is just that kind of moving on up. University obviously does grant a level of independence, especially if you're moving away from home, and so I think definitely there are positives. For me, I didn't really enjoy my education as much as I should. I think lots of it was overshadowed by the fact that I had IBS and I was always kind of struggling with that. I did have issues with friends and stuff, but everyone does, you know, especially girls. So it wasn't like I had a completely unusual educational career. But I think I was kind of hesitant because I thought I don't know whether I want to put myself through another 3 years of this, and I wouldn't have my support system behind me, and I think I didn't give that aspect enough consideration. I should have really considered how important that support system was for me when I was going through something like IBS and studying and going through all the stress of that. But anyway, so I was in my final year of sixth form and I applied to Bournemouth University to study journalism, a course called multimedia journalism, and that was kind of the only course for me if I was going to go. I did apply to other journalism courses, but that was kind of the be-all and end-all for me. And as mentioned, I always wanted to become a journalist, and I guess I thought that in order to do that I would have to go to university. Towards the end of my second year of sixth form, my blog was kind of starting to gain traction, and that was definitely something that I was pouring a lot of my time into, but I didn't, you know, back then it was nothing that blogging as an industry was not something that you would pursue as a career. I don't remember anyone that was doing it full-time back then, so it wasn't really an option. But I did decide to take a gap year because I wasn't ready and I needed a little bit more time to not grow up, because I feel like I've always been quite mature and grown up and independent, but I just needed an extra year, I think. And in my head, I kind of told myself and my parents that I was going to go searching for that dream job in my gap year and hopefully I'd find it and I wouldn't have to go to university. But as it happens, that wasn't the case, and while I did have a very lovely job in my gap year and I did a little bit of travelling, it wasn't anything that would you know, completely put off university, and so I made the step to go to university, and I moved 110 miles away to Bournemouth. Now Bournemouth is a very lovely place, and it's a gorgeous location for a university as well, because obviously it's got the sandy white beach and it's very picturesque, very pretty. There's not that much going on, but there is a lot going on to keep you interested. So I loved Bournemouth as a place, and there were lots of good things about university, but I think it was apparent from the offset that it was going to be something that I was going to struggle with, and the course itself was very, very difficult. As mentioned before, I'm not necessarily academically gifted. I do work very, very hard to keep up with my peers, but it didn't come naturally to me, and so I think I piled the extra pressure on myself because I wanted to do well. And you know, obviously university is a massive investment. It's a big investment into your future, and I think it's amazing to be able to make that decision to invest in your future, but there's also a lot of pressure riding on it, and you want to do your absolute best. For me, I was very conscientious. You know, I didn't want to waste this opportunity. I didn't want to waste the money. I didn't want to waste my parents' time and effort, and you know, I felt like I was going to be letting a lot of people down if I didn't kind of go the whole hog and you know, really make the most of it. So yeah, I guess that was one aspect, and it was a very difficult course, and I was away from home. I had an unfortunate situation at the beginning of university where I'd moved away from my long-term boyfriend and found out that he hadn't been very faithful to me, but that's another. I had some very difficult things to deal with regards to that, and I won't go into it, but yes, I think everything kind of came to a head in that first month of university. It was really, really difficult for me, and it did set a precedent for what the rest of my university life would be. But I started the course, I really enjoyed it. It was very, very difficult, but I definitely learned a lot of things, and I was enjoying really throwing myself into the work. I think the one good thing about university is that you obviously, especially if you're living away from home, you really get that sense of independence, and for me, I feel like that is the one invaluable experience that I've taken from it. You know, I've proved to myself that I can support myself, I can you know, live independently, I can cook for myself, even if I did give myself food poisoning on a couple of occasions. I think it is I think for the life lessons and the skills and stuff that you learn, it can be really, really beneficial. For me, I worked really, really hard all throughout my degree, and I ended up getting a first class honours, which I am absolutely still astounded by, because I was convinced, oh, that's the ice cream man. I was absolutely convinced that I had failed, and I was kind of second guessing and doubting myself all the way through, so that was definitely a nice boost, and I do feel like it's been worth it to get that at the end of it, and to, you know, have something to show for all my hard work. But yes, living with people, I think the first thing I want to say, because I know I'm waffling here, is that obviously university does have its benefits. It's a massive learning curve for being independent and growing up and kind of entering that next stage of your life. It's also great for developing your knowledge and appreciation for the subject that you're studying, obviously. But I do think that perhaps as a society we do put it on a pedestal, and you know, it's seen as this is the next step, this is what you need to do in order to get a job, and I don't think it should be that way. I think that everyone should really, really consider whether it's for them and not feel pressured into it, not feel guilty if it isn't for you, because at the end of the day, everyone has a different path, and you know, you're going to be the one carving that out. So it's definitely something to consider. But I would say if you have just started university and you're watching this, you know, don't be put off by what I've said. There are lots and lots of amazing things that happened at university, and I do feel that I have grown as a person because of it. It's very, very difficult being away from home for the first time, and as I mentioned, not having that immediate support system around you. I found that really, really difficult when I was suffering with my stomach, and not having someone to come home to at the end of the day and just give a cuddle and, you know, listen to a voice of reason and get some advice and just be around the people that love you. So that was really difficult, admittedly, but I think it really teaches you to rely on yourself and to be comforted by your own company. And if you are feeling really, really homesick, I promise you're not alone. You know, there's lots of people around you that are probably feeling the same, and it's definitely worth throwing yourself into university life if you can, to make friends and kind of take your mind off things. But then at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with going home for the weekend. I used to go home at least once a month, and I think I needed that. I think that's okay. You know, if you don't like being away for prolonged periods, then there's absolutely no shame in going home for a bit and kind of reigniting with that support system. I think you just have to do you for university and listen to what you're feeling and thinking and make the right decisions for you. Obviously, it can be very easy to make rash decisions, and there were so many occasions where I thought to myself, I just want to quit, you know, this just isn't worth it. But I have never really been a quitter, and I really wanted to stick it out, and I do feel very happy that I did that, and you know, that I stuck it out until the end. There was some very difficult points and very, very difficult work actually. The dissertation aspect was probably the most difficult thing I've ever done, and I was doubting myself the whole way through, thinking this is absolute waffle and crap, and you know, what on earth am I even talking about? Literally by the end I thought, I don't even know what I'm talking about, so how on earth is an examiner gonna know? But I somehow managed to pull through. I think with the dissertation, I mean, that's probably a whole nother video, but you just kind of have to stick it out, do it in short bouts. I did 2 or 3 hours a day, and don't keep punishing yourself if you're not, you know, doing it at all hours of the day. I know lots of people in my university and in my halls and stuff, not halls, but you know, people around me were spending like all day in the library, and I was thinking, oh gosh, they must be doing so much work, but really it was just a social, and they weren't doing, you know, as much work as they made out, and being in the library wasn't working necessarily. So you just have to focus on you. And don't worry kind of what anyone else is doing. On the same branch, I think a lot of university and a lot of the university experience is centred around drinking and partying and £1 shots, and while I think, you know, I'm all for people having fun, that just wasn't me. So I think that's another reason why I really struggled with university. And while I did kind of throw myself into it in Freshers Week, it got to the point where I was thinking, oh, I can't keep going out and getting up really early and doing the work. Something had to give. And I don't think there's any shame in not doing that. If that's not for you, it's not for you. Unfortunately, I think my university could have been better at having more activities for people that didn't drink. I think they have now introduced that, so that's really good. But yes, it is a tricky one, I think, if you don't share the same hobbies as the status quo, and I did bundle myself away for a lot of university doing my blog and developing that, but I don't regret a thing, and I think that's the overriding aspect I have to take from the whole experience. University is a big decision, and you know, when I got my statement through a few weeks ago, it was quite shocking to see how much I owe. And unfortunately, I think when I initially signed up, I didn't realise that it was an interest loan. I thought it was interest free or a very kind of soft loan. But anyway, that's a whole nother story, so I won't bore you with that. But I think as a whole, my advice would be to really consider what you want to do. If you don't feel you're ready yet, there's no shame in taking a gap year, there's no shame in waiting. Don't feel like you have to do something because everybody else is doing it. Your path is yours to carve, and it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing as long as you feel that you're doing the right thing for you. You will feel homesick, and you may feel like quitting several times throughout your university career, but that is totally normal, and I think you have to see it as a means to an end, see the end goal, and know that that's what's in sight, and it will go really quickly. I thought my 3 years at university would absolutely drag by, but they flew by, and university's over, and it's something in the past that was a difficult time, but I definitely don't regret it. So I don't really know if I've just waffled on for half an hour or I've answered anything or said anything of substance, but if you do have any questions for me, please do let me know in the comment box below. I'm more than happy to answer anything or any questions that you may have, so please do leave them. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.